Well, we do have a significant weather whiplash coming up towards the end of the weekend, and we are potentially looking at a named storm by the time we reach Sunday. Thanks for clicking on to the Wednesday evening edition of Vogan's European Outlook. This was a video I captured this afternoon from the back garden here at Mark Vogan Weather HQ. Be sure to check that out if you haven't already done so. And also, I do encourage you to hit that subscribe button if you're a lover of weather, interested in the big broad picture and how the weather pattern evolves. Well, hopefully this is the place for you. I'm closing in on 6,000 subscribers here on the YouTube channel, so I would greatly appreciate your support. I greatly appreciate everybody's support anyway. But be sure to hit that big red button if you haven't already done so and help me get the 6,000 subscribers. Many people in parts of England, Wales and Ireland probably saying we're fed up listening to you talking about snow, the cold, it's not arrived in our back door, and I totally appreciate that. Unfortunately, this type of weather pattern has been, once again, as is often the case, especially in recent years, very much biased towards the north when it comes to snow. I have to say, the Central Belt, Southern Scotland, I thought there would have been more in the way of snow in the last day or so, and that hasn't materialised. But certainly from about Dunblane northwards, we do have a snow cover, and widely, Central Highlands, North Highlands, here in this general area, a firm 10 to 20 centimetres of snow is now on the ground. Heavy snow, particularly last night and through the course of today, has really built up that snowpack. And while temperatures hit minus 14.3, the coldest for January since 2019, we could have a chance at surpassing minus 15 tonight. That would be the coldest temperature for the month of January since 2010. So we'll keep our eyes close on that. Central portions of England and Wales, by the way, I think you've got a shot at minus 10 tonight, the coldest night of the winter so far. Daytime temperatures struggling to get 2 or 3 degrees. Manchester, Liverpool, across the Leeds, up to York. It has been a fairly chilly day, minus the snow cover, of course. Further south, under cloudier skies. We did have, I think, a few flurries right down along the south coast of England, but nothing really to write home about. Heavy snow across the north and heavy snow across France. And unfortunately, Mother Nature has left the majority of Ireland, even parts of Northern Ireland, England and Wales, in the middle of the wintry conditions. So this was the temperatures down to minus 8 to minus 10 Celsius fairly widely last night, down to minus 8.3 at the Estelmuir, Southern Scotland. We did have temperatures, I think, down to minus 2, minus 3 Celsius, even minus 5 locally to the southwest of London here. We did have Benson, I think, reach minus 8. I think it was yesterday morning or the morning before, I can't remember. But we did see some fairly cold temperatures during the course of the last couple of days further south. And the current temperatures are as such here, so we are firmly below freezing. It hasn't risen above freezing across much of the north where there is snow-covered ground. And like I say, the temperatures may have a shot at the minus 15 to minus 18 during the course of tonight. So this was the scene that I captured on my way north from Glasgow back up to Inverness last night. Snow-packed roads, blustery conditions, minus 6 on the dash, and it was a very fluffy, dry, powdery snow. So it's that kind of snow that's very easy to wipe off your car, and also away from treated roads. That snowpack is quite a nice type of snow actually, rather than this kind of slushy, sloppy mess. With the Arctic air in place and the cold temperatures, low dew point, dryness of the air, it's actually quite a pleasant snow. But unfortunately, it all changes by the time we reach the end of this work week here. We've got a few other threats of snow as the milder air starts to mix in. This was long when driving Inverness, incidentally, this morning as well. And we do have a amber warning across the far north of the UK. This, by the way, was the scene in Lerwick. I believe they had the coldest daytime temperature of -1 Celsius at Lerwick, Shetland, since 1987, I believe. There was also, I believe, Stornoway. The snow depth in town was around 13 centimeters, which is just a fraction off what was achieved in December 2010. So it looks as if the most snow in the town centre of Stornoway, since December 2010, which is quite interesting. But this is the amber warning. More frequent snow showers blowing in on a stiff northerly wind. Where you get the lighter winds and the clear skies, the temperatures are really going to take a tanking tonight, up and down the length of the UK, may I add. But Shetland, Orkney, and the far north mainland, generally from about Dingwall and Glen Affric northwards, this is where the amber warning is in place, because you've got anywhere between 12 and 20 centimetres of snow already on the ground. You factor in an additional 10, possibly 15 to 20 centimetres of snow on top of that, and that is going to cause issues. Now, look at how close that boundary got to the south coast of England here. So, disappointment I can understand for the far south of the UK with regards to the snow. Significant snowfall, by the way, across parts of northern France, extending through Belgium as well. Seeing some scenes of snow-covered Brussels earlier on today. And this is a live radar showing the snow showers piling in across the northern half of the UK. So for folks that are fed up with talking about, that are listening to Scottish snowfall, I encourage you to put your fingers in the ears at the moment here, because I'm going to explain a little bit about the frontal system that is now going to be aging across the northern UK as we progress through the course of this evening. This is quite an interesting little feature, by the way, because what it's going to do is it's driving the thicknesses to the lowest levels that we've seen in quite some time here across the UK. And by that I mean that you have got the colder the air mass, the more contracted the troposphere is, and you hear about low thickness values when it comes to Arctic air mass. So the 528, 522 thickness value is quite often the line that you would look at in terms of the difference between rain versus snow. The 532 line is actually the boundary itself, but you have to factor in other components to that as well. But once you get below 528 and especially 522, the depth of the atmosphere is contracted, it's colder, and you tend to find that the dew point is lower. But once you get down towards the 516 thickness, that is increasingly cold air. And then the rare 510 line is actually edging towards the northern portions of Orkney here. That 510 thickness value, by the way, is relatively rare here in the UK and Ireland here. And you can see that it's not that far from the north coast of Scotland here by the time we reach early hours of tomorrow morning. The 8:50 temperatures themselves, the purples represent -10, the deeper purples represent -11 and -12. So you can see here that frontal system that is moving southwards, that is what's increasing shower activity across the north. That's going to lay down further heavy snowfall across the north through the course of tonight. But what it's also doing is you're increasing the depth of the cold air mass that's already in place. And with those clear skies, light winds, and fresh snow cover, the environment is perfect for maximum radiational cooling, and therefore that is why we expect the temperature to drop possibly not that far off -20 if the environment was just right. You had places such as Aviemore, even up towards Loch Lascarnock, where you just dropped the wind for a couple of hours, you had clear skies, and with a good 20-25 centimeters of deep snow cover, that is what allows the temperature to really plummet here. And that is something that we need to keep an eye on. But 850 is -12 to -14. You've got the 510 thickness value not that far to the north of the British Isles, and the environment is set for heavy snowfall, but also the coldest air of the entire winter so far. But like I say, even across more southern portions of the UK, we still do have a chance at seeing some very, very low numbers through the course of tonight. Places such as Benson, for example, Pershore, Shawbury in Shropshire. These are the areas that I would expect to see a possible shot at -10 through the overnight tonight. Again, another cold day tomorrow, barely above freezing, anywhere from the Midlands to the north of the UK here. So yeah, it is the coldest portion of the winter. It was advertised for quite some time. It is also about to come to an abrupt end as well. So if we look at North America, it's actually changes that are taking place within the tropical Pacific that is then forcing the trigger of the change across the North American continent. But extremely cold air has been driving south and east across the North American continent. What that is doing is we've got some incredibly hot air across Central America, Honduras, Guatemala, record-breaking temperatures of upwards of 40 Celsius, which is incredible for the time of the year, by the way. As that hot air is getting met by the Arctic air that is digging southwards, what we are starting to see is the increase in the strength of the jet stream. So if you actually look at what's happening here, so what we've actually got is we've got the Mangelian oscillation going into phases 4 and 5. What that's going to do is it's going to focus the thunderstorm activity over Australia and Indonesia. Record-breaking hot conditions across parts of Indonesia, up into Myanmar, Laos, Thailand. We've had all-time hot nights in Bangkok, for example. But what that's going to do is that is going to then start to get tempered as the pulse of upward convection moves across the Indian Ocean into the maritime continent. What that's doing is, as that focus, the thunderstorm activity then focuses across Indonesia and Australia, even into the western portion of the Pacific, it's then forcing the jet stream to the north of that to become fired up. Notice here that we've got a very flat jet exiting Asia, crossing over the North Pacific here, and what that's doing is that is then recasting the atmosphere. It's going to start to push Pacific air into North America. Now, as that happens, it's forcing the cold trough east. It's then connecting up with the heat across Central America, Caribbean, and into the eastern United States. That's then forcing the Atlantic jet stream to then strengthen. So you can see here that the jet orientation becoming flatter as that MJO pulse goes into the maritime continent region. It's amazing how the atmosphere works, and this is what it's all about here in the channel, explaining and showing you how the pattern is changing. Remember that I highlighted the end game to this cold spell long before the cold spell itself began. It was the same back in November for the cold spell in early December. I said back then, MJO going into phases 4 and 5, we're going to see a December warm-up, and we did see that happen. Repeating patterns. I know it's rinse and repeat. You're probably a little bit fed up listening to it, but the atmosphere is an incredible thing to watch. So you can see here the changes, the chain reaction within the atmosphere: Pacific, North America, Atlantic, and then eventually what happens is we see that change taking place across Europe here. So this is for Saturday the 20th of December. January, should I say? I think I said that in the back garden report this afternoon, in the month of December. It's January. I have to keep reminding myself that. Look at how the jet stream has become so much more zonal. We're losing the Arctic oscillation negative. We're losing the negative North Atlantic oscillation. Both of these modes, these indices that represent the pressure difference, is flipping on its head. We're actually going from deep negative to deep positive. But rest assured, folks, with what's going on within the stratosphere, it's going to be a case of we're going to see the changes coming back into play. And there's your powerhouse jet firing into the UK, and we're going to see a significant wind event possible. More rain, flooding is going to be a concern as well due to that heavy snow that we've got on the ground at the moment. So we're going to see the rapid melt of the snow and we're back in play once again. But the incredible times to come, keep it right here on my YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.